Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry for week 2 of a live version instead of a recorded video. Our editor, Ken, is on the mend, and he should be back anytime now. I want to talk to you about something pretty important today. You cannot write a screenplay or a pilot or an episode without scenes. And what we're going to talk about today is building a scene. Scenes are everything. Am I right? I mean, they're the building blocks of your entire script. They're the DNA of any movie or any episode that's ever been made. They're the thing that keeps us up after midnight trying to get it right, tip-tap typing away. We all aspire to write great scenes. But what if our desire to write a great scene was getting in the way of a key screenplay necessity, which is writing really good scenes? Is the good the enemy of the great? It can be when it comes to our screenwriting. So let's dive in for a few minutes and make sure we're all approaching these things in the right spirit. Each and every scene has a series of obligations to the reader and ultimately to the audience. And those are, tell me about the character. Tell me about the plot. Help me set and regulate my expectations. Entertain me, make me feel something, and fulfill my expectations while also subverting my expectations. So let's talk about those now. Your scenes and their relationship to character and plot. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's the entire ball game. Am I right? So every scene that you write should advance both our understanding and appreciation of the character and their journey and the major overall plot, the big thing the character is working on to solve or win. And it's hard to do that. Am I right? I will openly admit that I've never seen anybody get it 100% right all the time. But if you can make sure that nearly every scene you do advances both character and plot, you will stop hearing comments like, there's air in your story, or I lost the thread of what's happening here, or it feels like your characters are just treading water, or why are your characters doing X and not Y, or why are your characters not a part of this moment? Over the last 25 years of doing this job, I have developed my own very specific technique for tying character to plot. I like to work out the very basics of the plot first, just the plot, no detailed moments, no big turns, just the building blocks of my story from A to Z, beat to beat to beat to beat, no details. And then once I feel like I've got down the 15 or 20 or 25 story beats that I'm going to need to move through my entire screenplay without details, once I've gotten this proof of concept that my story has a beginning, middle, and end, I'll then take those skeletal beats and lay out the character journey right over top of that for my second outline. And please take note, when I say skeletal beats, I mean it. I do not break down anything into actual scenes until I've gone through the entire story journey and the entire character journey. So in a lot of ways for me, the way to great scenes is to resist the impulses that we all have, where when you first get an idea, right, you want to sit down and write a few scenes. If you're like most of us, when you get that new idea, you get a character or two and a burst of inspiration, and you get a few scenes that are going to start you off and send you off the road. And a lot of people sit and they write those scenes in detail in software before they do anything else. I would propose to you that that's an intense mistake, that it's far better to wait to craft scenes until you know the entire story and until you know where we're taking the characters within that story. Then and only then is it time to write scenes. So, what makes a scene great? Or better yet, maybe the question that we should ask ourselves is, what makes a scene work? What makes it just good? I think if we were all asked to describe beauty or love, we would pretty much have different ideas about how to describe them, how to use words to talk about those feelings. Same thing with what makes a scene work. It's like the Supreme Court talking about pornography. It's, the justice said, well, I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it. It's the same thing with building a scene. We know a good one when we watch it. So why is it so hard to build a good one? Well, maybe it's because we're striving to make it great when we should first be trying for good. And you know what a good scene is, right? A good one is a scene that reveals character within the greater action and plot of the story. And as the story moves forward in each scene, it also presents a new opportunity to know something about the character. So great scenes don't need to be designed to be great scenes. They're not designed to be standouts. They stand out because they're so well executed, but also because they're serving the story and the character journey, and they're giving us both of those intertwined, which is a long way of saying Don't shoot for great scenes. Shoot for scenes that tell your story with flair, with economy, with heart, especially heart. And you do enough scenes that way in your screenplay, inevitably a few of them will become big, huge standout scenes. Why? Because if you are delivering on a consistent level first everywhere, you're not ending up with those peaks and valleys that look like an EKG when you're reading the script. You're not having peaks and valleys between your super exciting standout moments and those moments where your character's like just getting a replacement key made at a stale somewhere or something, right? But if all your moments are good, if they all deliver consistently, then there will be some moments out of those that will purely stand out because they shock us or inform us or make us feel something in a very genuine way. And it's like, yes, we can get all those things, but you don't have to try so hard to get it. Your great scenes will emerge mostly because they're exactly where they belong and they're serving the greater story and the greater characters and the greater emotional reality of what we're watching. Good scenes have a true reason to exist. They aren't just there to fill up space. They aren't there to service some idea that you need extraneous B stories and C stories so that you make up all these extra scenes that don't end up propelling the main narrative. They aren't there just to show off that your character is the kind of person who helps little old ladies across the street. If you're going to walk a little old lady across the street, the first act, Chekhov's little old lady, you had better have some converse or complementary action in the third act to pay it off. And if you don't, you've got a scene that's just about a character trait. And a scene is never, ever just one thing. There's layers to it. Sometimes you don't even get what those layers are the first time through, but later you're revisiting it. You're like, whoa, like in Die Hard, which I know we all just watched because Christmas was recently, in Die Hard, when John McClane bumps into Bill Clay in the building, and we all know it's really Hans's failed gambit to fool McClane explains exactly why John McClane is going to win in the end. And then at the end, we're like, how did he be able to read Hans so well? How could he know this man who he barely knows? Well, it's because he saw Hans and all his layers of game playing live earlier when Hans was pretending to be Bill Clay. In thinking he's so clever, Hans actually programs McClane with information about how to get ahead of his own thinking later, seals his own doom. But when you watch it, you're just so busy being entertained and screaming at the screen, no, no, it's Hans, no, don't give him a gun, that it doesn't hit you. So what makes a scene? Exactly as much information as required to advance the story and the character journey in this specific beat. And that's it. No more, no less. The idea of a really good scene is to start as late as possible and end as fast as possible. Scenes don't have three acts to them. They impart information and then they go about their way. And here's the thing. That's on the writer because what's going to happen to your scenes as they go through the production process is they're going to get longer and bloated. Producers are going to want more clarity. Directors and DPs are going to want to linger all over the faces or the silent decision-making processes, or they're going to want to whip the camera around in a 360 again and again, or whatever they want to do. They're going to slow down the pace of your stuff in a lot of ways. Designers beg the DP to linger on the sets or the clothes or the props. Like everybody's excited about their work. Everybody wants to show it off. Who's your best friend as a writer? The editor. What's up, Ken? Once the editor gets in there, if they know their stuff, all that fluff goes away and you are right back to where you began, which was achieving excellence in your scene, not through flashy histrionics or a lot of camera talk or big arch lines. You have achieved excellence by making your scenes everything they had to be. Overthinking, as in so many things, is your enemy here. We are meant to feel movies and TV, just like our own real life experiences. And just like our own real life experiences, so much can be undone by overthinking it. Once again, great to see everybody here. Love you all, appreciate you all. Please keep coming back. We're going to go back to our pre-programmed videos pretty soon. Excuse me. But while Ken is out sick, we're going to do live ones until he's back to full health. It's a lot of fun to interact with you here. I'll be looking at the comments later and answering things. See you all soon. Appreciate you all. Good luck to all of us this year.